We're a few minutes late, but that's because it takes time to orchestrate a takeover. Welcome, everybody,
Mutiny.
to Chef Bolg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything Friday Night Galley.
It's Chef Bolg and Mr. Producer's Friday Night Galley.
Tonight it is. I'm your host, like Bolg just said, Mr. Producer. And tonight I'm joined by the marvelous maestro of cuisine, Chef Bolg.
That's me.
And none other than the charismatic savant himself, Loke the Bard.
Hey, that's me.
Idiot Savant?
And as you may have just heard, it's a mutiny episode.
Yeah, no pirate captain.
We threw him overboard, left him at port, and we're sailing the seas ourselves.
Really, I think he's just busy, but let's go with that excuse.
Tonight, it's Mr. Producer's episode. And let me tell you guys, I'm coming in hot. I think, personally, Rebel Moon was better than the sequel Star Wars.
Ooh.
I liked Rebel Moon more than I liked episode 7, 8, or 9 of the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, Rebel Moon is both better than everybody says it is and worse than everybody says it is at the same time, which is a hard target to hit.
Please elaborate, Loke.
Well, everybody, all the interviews you see, they say, "Oh, it's so beautifully done, artistic, great special effects, but the story's crap." But like most of the when I was watching it and they're walking through that wheat field, I'm like, this looks like a play. This looks like somebody sitting on a Broadway stage and with a painting behind them. Not good at all special effects. But the story wasn't that bad. I mean, yes, it is kind of generic, Seven Samurais gathering up the team. But the story wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad either.
I mean, you could definitely see where it was, I guess Star Wars itself is derivative of Seven Samurai. And you can see where Rebel Moon pick and chose its parts from Star Wars.
Yeah, and I think the Star Wars, the fact that it was sold as a grittier Star Wars, I think hurts it.
Really?
It's PG-13. It's not grittier. It's just not. It's about the same level of grittiness as Star Wars was.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Loke, because as I was doing some research for this episode, I did find out that Zack Snyder is planning on releasing an R-rated cut of Rebel Moon. As you just said, the Snyder cut.
Snyder cut.
Of Rebel Moon.
It would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I talked about it in a video I'll be releasing shortly of Zack Snyder's Justice League cut outperformed the Justice League 2017 immensely, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a better movie too, just flat out.
So I'm interested to see, what Zack Snyder has in store for his R-rated cut.
Yeah, and a lot of the complaints people have with Rebel Moon are Zack Snyderisms. If you don't like the slow-mo fight scene stuff, you're gonna complain about it in this because Zack Snyder always does slow-mo fight scene stuff. That's just part of his signature. If you don't like that, why are you watching a Zack Snyder movie?
He peaked in 300.
Yeah, and speaking of it's like this is almost a Zack Snyder best of. Like, the Beast Tamer guy's costume is straight stolen from 300. Just walking around shirtless with six-pack abs. That's his costume.
So you had mentioned the special effects, and I'm trying to remember what in particular got you.
Well, how bad they all were is what got me. From the very beginning, in the very opening scene, she's walking in like wheat field, and you see the 2 or 3 moons behind her, and you can like see the end of the field where it stops being field and starts being painting. Then these moons look like paintings. And that's just basic, like, special effects 101. The robot guy looked pretty good. You know, that effect looked okay, but pretty much everything else looked like it was done for television in the 80s. I mean, none of it was high quality to today's standard big budget movie special effects. I can't think of a single effect. Oh, no, that's wrong. The Spider Woman.
The Spider Lady was cool, yeah.
They did do a good job on that effect, whether it's practical or makeup or digital, whatever they did to make her work. She looked good, but pretty much everything else in it, like I said, it looked like something you would see in an 80s movie.
We will try and keep it spoiler free here, folks, but you know, here's a cautious spoiler warning just in case.
Yeah.
I thought, what was your opinion on the fight choreography for the movie?
It could have been better. Again, the stuff that he gets praised for is the stuff I was most disappointed in. Like I said, the story felt like if you sat down to a game of D&D and everybody had prepared a backstory without talking to each other, and then that first session they presented their backstories. That's kind of what this movie is the characters all are gathered up as a team, and it presents each of their backstories highlights and goes in depth on one character without getting spoilery. Goes in depth on one character's backstory, highlights the other 7 or 6 or however many there are, and then the rest is just set up for part 2, you know?
It is interesting to me how they shot part 2 already. They must have done it back to back because...
Yeah, I think they did it all at like Lord of the Rings style where they filmed the whole thing at once.
How...
Also, if you guys are wondering why I'm not inputting anything, it's because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he didn't do his homework.
I didn't do. I was very, very busy, but our next topic I will be talking about. This one, I mean, I'm looking at the cast. I'm like, okay, this is a pretty stacked cast.
Yeah.
I did like the casting. I didn't know the main character, Cora. What has she done?
She did
Sophia Botella.
She did a good job though.
She was in Kingsman. She was the assassin lady.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was the mummy in the new Mummy.
Yeah, for what she was given, working with what she had, she did a pretty good job. Some of there's a lot of characters being introduced in a very short movie, so a lot of them don't get a lot of depth or a lot to work with.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of these people. Like
Charlie Hunman and Ed Skrein were two pretty. You know, they're pretty. I wouldn't say they're like S tier actors, but they're pretty up there. I know Charlie Hunman was known for Sons of Anarchy, and Ed Skrein was the bad guy in Deadpool.
Yep. And
the Sons of Anarchy guy kind of plays like the Han Solo knockoff.
The pilot who shows up just when
they
you need
meet who they meet in the cantina just when they need a ship to go somewhere. Yeah.
Other than I didn't know a lot. I know they have Anthony Hopkins, which is a huge name, and Jim. I'm gonna butcher this. Jimin Hansu.
Jaimin Hansu.
Jaimin Hansu. He played the wizard in Shazam, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
He was also the pivotal character, Man on Island, in The Quiet Place. A Quiet Place Part 2.
Is that what he's credited as, Man on Island?
Man on Island.
Yeah.
He's also the guy in Guardians of the Galaxy who went "Who?" at Star-Lord. So
that's right.
Yeah,
like I said, I think it's a hot take. we were discussing Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, a couple weekends back, and I'm curious to see what the pirate captain has to say on Rebel Moon when he makes his way back to the ship. But sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I might have to agree. With the exception of The Force Awakens, I would put it above 8 and 9 in the sequel trilogy. So I would go that far with you.
I might have to rewatch episode. I'll rewatch episode 7 for the next galley, and I'll give my analysis.
I'm looking at
it's not an Andor quality greatness post Disney Star Wars, but it's not, like I said, it's not a Boba Fett. It's not a Rise of the Skywalker.
Boba Fett had so much potential. If they just had to make Boba Fett into like a crime lord and have him run his own syndicate, and it could have been so great. But
all they had to do was take the Godfather movie, tweak it so that it was in Tatooine or wherever he was doing it, and done.
Right, exactly.
It would have worked. It would have worked great, but they want to keep it, and I think that's where the selling this Rebel Moon as the gritty Star Wars comes from, is that since Disney took it over, with the exception of what was the Andor prequel to? I'm blanking on the name of that Star Wars.
Rebel Moon.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One.
Rebel Moon's what I'm talking about.
With the exception of Rogue One, all of Disney Star Wars has been very
tame,
kid friendly.
Yeah.
Very, targeting the youths. I mean, if you go back and watch the original New Hope, C-3PO is stacking the dead body of his aunt and uncle on a fire. I mean, they would never put that in modern Star Wars.
I have to give credit to Rebel Moon, though. It is ambitious in a time where correct me if I'm wrong. The only two big heavy hitters right now would be Star Wars and Dune, right? Those are the big sci-fi hits.
The Trekkies are going to come after you for that.
When was the last Star Trek movie released? I haven't.
Well, they've got TV on or streaming.
There apparently.
I haven't watched them, so I can't say very good.
There is apparently another Star Trek movie coming at some point.
Yeah, but like they had the Discovery and the Picard series and the
Lower Decks.
Lower Decks, and there's the new one. I'm blanking on the new one though.
Discovery?
No, Discovery was the first streaming one. They have Brave New World.
Oh, Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. That's it. Brave New Worlds would be a better book, but
so, I like I said, I haven't seen it. I know that there is apparently a cyborg person. Please tell me it's not Ray Fisher. That would be
no, it is not.
That would be pretty fucked up as Zack Snyder.
Yeah, no, that
guy got his scenes all cut to hell.
No,
that's what I did like about circling back to the Justice League is they did flesh out Cyborg's character in the Snyder Cut release, but I did like Ray Fisher in Rebel Moon. I thought he played an interesting character.
Yeah. I saw on the cast list that Derek Mears was in this, and any chance you get to see Derek Mears without I don't know if he's wearing a mask or not. But it seems like he doesn't get as much recognition. He was Jason Voorhees in the reboot.
What's his name?
Derek Mears. He was also in Predators. He's a guy with alopecia. He's a great actor, but he has a weird look, so he doesn't get very many.
Was he the guy who played the father, Loke? Do you know?
I don't know. I'd have to look him up.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Derek what?
Derek Mears. I know he played Simeon. I don't remember who that was.
That's weird.
Overall, if I had to give it a rating scale, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10.
It's worth a watch, and it's if you have a Netflix subscription, it's free on Netflix. It's So it's better than any of the Disney Plus Star Wars, except for Andor and The Mandalorian. So, well, that's like all the Disney Plus Star Wars. But anyway, better than Ahsoka. I'll go that far. It's better than Ahsoka or Boba Fett or Obi-Wan.
I liked Obi-Wan, but I could see how not everyone did.
Yeah.
It was.
I can't cross this fire, even though the fire only goes 3 feet in front of me, and then it's gone. I can't just go around it. I'll have to let them go. Oh wait, sorry. Oh.
You guys ready to move on to Echo?
Yeah, I think this one's gonna.
Speaking of gritty things,
Echo. Oh.
So,
I
you have two very different sides here. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know where you sit, Mr. Producer, but
you're gonna be the tiebreaker on this one.
Okay.
I thought this was the worst Disney Plus Marvel show to date. Worse than She-Hulk. Worse than Nick Fury hunting changelings. That wasn't Secret Wars. That was something else.
Secret Invasion.
Whatever that was. Yeah, no.
Yep.
It wasn't it. Wasn't that. It didn't earn that title. But this was worse than that. Worse than all of them so far. I think Inhumans might be the only thing that's been worse.
That wasn't Disney Plus, I don't believe.
Yeah, no, yeah, but the only Marvel product in general that I would say was worse so far was the Inhumans. So this is the second worst Marvel product since Marvel Studios existed, in my opinion.
Them some strong words.
What say you, Bold?
Strong word. Worse than Thor: The Dark World.
That's heavy hitting.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is that even Thor: The Dark World was middling. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't a bad release. It just there wasn't anything to it that was really even that good. But it wasn't terrible. Like, I didn't want to turn it off.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy Echo. I am having a lot of fun with it, and I really appreciate a return to that Netflix style storytelling and embrace of the grit.
Yeah. But did they really? There's like 2 scenes that are gritty, and the rest is Hawkeye style.
It's pretty bloody as hell. I mean, you see people's faces getting bashed in, and
yeah.
So Bolg and I are only on episode 4, where Loke, I believe, has finished the series. Correct?
Finished it, but I had stopped watching after episode 3 because I've never actually almost quit one of these Marvel shows before this one, and I if we weren't talking about it on this show right now, I would have quit and not finished those last 2 episodes. I mean, this isn't. We're going to try to stay non-spoiler because the first, this
it just came out on Tuesday.
Yeah, but I'm going to talk about the first 2 minutes ish of the show. Girl who at this point has no superpowers. Bullet hole in her gut. Rides her motorcycle 21 hours from New York to Oklahoma before sewing up and closing the bullet wound.
With dental floss.
With dental floss. That girl's dead. Long dead. She's dead before she left the state of New York.
The way I saw it was a flesh wound, not a bullet hole.
She told the mortician the bullet was still in there.
So, one thing that did pop up interesting to me is did you guys watch season 2 of What If?
No.
Not yet.
They introduced a Native American superhero in that named Kahori, just 2 weeks before releasing
the first completely new superhero from the MCU. She hasn't appeared in the comics at all. She's new.
That might actually be worth. See, I was disappointed with What If season 1 enough that I wasn't planning on watching season 2.
Season 2 was, there were a couple hits and there were a couple misses, but I'm a Marvel simp, so I watched through the whole thing.
Yeah. I like I said, this is the first one I thought about quitting and turning off. So I guess you could say I'm a Marvel simp too. 'Cause
I mean, and I don't even consider myself that much of a Marvel simp, but like I haven't gone to the movies for any of the recent ones. I told myself, no, I'll wait for Marvels to come out on streaming, which is the 19th, I think.
See, I even went to see that in the theater. So
yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, without getting too spoilery, I've liked the where the season has gone, and I like the interpersonal relationships between the characters. Are there problems? Yeah, absolutely. The same as any other Marvel property. There's going to be issues. I think we've been spoiled into thinking we should have in-game levels at all times, and it's not possible.
see, I don't have a problem with street level. Like, for example, the Daredevil stuff was great. I love Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. And nobody likes Iron Fist.
I watched all of
them. I watched all of them, both seasons. So I mean, even that.
That's where I did fall short. I didn't really. I watched the Daredevil and the Punisher stuff, but the what was their group name?
The Defenders.
The Defenders. I tried watching some Luke Cage. I tried watching some Iron Fist. And it didn't hook me like.
I like Luke Cage and I like Jessica Jones a lot.
For me, it was Luke Cage and Daredevil were up here, and then Jessica Jones was only a little bit lower. Iron Fist was down here, and then Defenders was just a little bit above Iron Fist. Yeah. Not very much.
Jessica Jones season 1, I might even put up as putting Daredevil for a fight for his money. The second season kind of did, without Purple Man as the big villain. It kind of, that was a big part of the sell of season 1. But Echo, part of I think my problem, some of it's kind of spoilery, is the previews have shown you knew Kingpin was coming. Mm-hmm. Kingpin is also going to be in the new Daredevil show that's after this. So a lot of the tension to the Kingpin stuff
was spoiled in
is not there, because even though she shot him in the face at the end of Hawkeye, not only is he not dead, which I have less problem with that than her bullet wound thing, because one, that's something that happened in the comics where he got shot in the face and came back, and two, he actually went through some kind of rich guy medical treatment in the Marvel universe. Rich guy medical treatment in the Marvel universe can fix just about everything. And I also had I had some issues. They were trying to do some of the stuff they were trying to do with her deafness. Could have been like if they would have gone like the Quiet Place route and where the bad guys used it to their advantage, and you get the jump scares and get some drama out of it. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been better. She's sneaking and banging stuff and doing this kind of like episode 1 and 2. Things are guarded. She's sneaking past them because she can't hear them or anything around her. She doesn't realize the noise she's making. She should have been triggering all kinds of
right.
I try not to be spoiler about. I'm thinking of specific examples where she's literally banging stuff, using a angle grinder to cut through steel.
Yeah.
On a guarded place.
I mean,
If she
where
can't
she's
hear
at
it,
is
nobody
loud
else
as
can.
hell.
Yeah.
But I think the way I look at that is that she's been trained by Kingpin, who, if we remember the Defenders, which is canon now, has access to the Hand. She's probably had some stealth training. She knows how to quiet herself, even if she can't hear it.
The angle cutter gets me though. Where she was cutting through the floor with the angle cutter.
Yeah, yeah.
And when the guard is right at the door that she's gone around.
Was that on the train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've thought a lot of the fight scenes are well choreographed and fun. Especially the
first one is
the one with Daredevil.
Yeah.
And where they move the camera back and forth. I think a lot of it feels very much Lee Winnell.
Wait for the last one.
Is the last one good or bad?
I didn't like it.
No. Okay. I'll probably be checking it out after we get done here.
A lot of them have that Lee Winnell type of following some of the action with the camera, and I really enjoyed that. I'm a huge fan of Upgrade because he does that trick a lot in Upgrade, and I feel like a lot of the impacts hit more than other Marvel shows. Like when she, again, not spoilery, but she hits some goons with very heavy things, and you hear cracking and you see blood and you hear the splatter. To me, that's a return to what we saw in Daredevil and Punisher and all that, where it was realistic and painful. Does she survive a lot of shit? Yeah, she's the main character. She's got a little plot armor.
Yeah, but what was her plan? What was her goal for this series, for the 4 episodes you've watched?
To take over.
But how is she going to do that? What effect did she have?
Well, she also thought that, I mean, this is no spoiler. He's in the series. Kingpin was dead.
Yeah.
She was sure of it. And then he comes back.
Right. But the action she takes to take over is to run home the beginning of episode 1 and cause trouble from a distance. That's how she's taking over as the Queen Pin of New York.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
She did have to run. She did just, shoot him in the face.
Yeah.
I'm sure she was allowing some time for the lieutenants to vie for whatever position they wanted, and then she would send this message and show, look, I'm still here. I'm still a problem, and get them to come to her, which is exactly what happened. It just didn't go according to plan.
Yeah. All of her plans don't go according to plan. She's not a very she's a like a Joker goon, like in Batman. She's like that level of bad guy, but it's like one of Joker's goon trying to take over from Joker.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's interesting.
And it's just so. And then her, I don't want to spoil her blood magic power, her cultural blood magic power, not blood as in Gen V blood bending magic power.
Mm.
She's got magic powers because she's a native.
Does she have powers in the comics?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, she does. Okay.
Do they come from her ancestors? Did she just learn about them in the 5th episode of her TV show, despite being a 20-something-year-old adult?
No, but you have to remember she was supposed to be grounded, and then they, went ungrounded. But I've yet to see the finale. I've heard it does peter out at the end, but I have been enjoying it. So
does the outlook look like it? She's going to be, joining the Young Avengers. And,
Oh no.
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 I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't want that. No. But
I'm curious how they leave off her story.
I expect you will never see her again.
Really?
Yes.
Not even in the upcoming Daredevil show, you think?
No. And unless, if the character from What If is successful and they do a live action one and they need a second Native American superhero, she might do a guest spot in that situation. But otherwise, I don't think you will ever see her again.
Well, she does in the comics for a while have a romance with a certain crazy vigilante in white.
Who's that? Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
He, along with Hawkeye and Deadpool, are some of the only ones that are able to fully communicate with her because they're fluent in ASL.
Well, that's another one that I'm wondering if we're going to see again is Oscar Isaac back as Moon Knight. Because his future's kind of up in the air, right?
If they pay him enough, I'm sure he'll.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, right now he is Mr. Comic Book, so I don't see why they wouldn't.
He's dead
want
in
him
Dune
back.
too, so he won't be in Dune 2 or future Dunes. Because his character died. Spoiler from 3 years ago. Duke Leto died in part 1.
Oh no, you mean that guy who dies in every version of it died?
Yeah. You mean the whole basis of the movie and story going forward? It's a revenge movie. The guy you get revenge. That's like.
So I'm curious where you guys fall in the discussion of superhero fatigue.
I don't think there is real superhero fatigue. I think there is poor script fatigue. I think maybe the writers have superhero writing fatigue. Maybe they're tired of writing good superhero stories. They're out of ideas. And so they're just putting some kind of trash out there. Look at the boys in Gen V, though.
Mm-hmm.
Look how great those are and how great they're received.
Gen V was pretty good.
Because they're well written, well produced. They look great. They're well acted. I mean, nobody's going to claim superhero fatigue is hurting them.
And they're still making money. Yeah. I mean, the movies will continue to come out as long as they're making money. And if the writers can get back on track, I see no reason why superhero fever couldn't strike twice.
Yeah.
I think a lot rides on the success of Deadpool 3. I think
that Marvel's success a lot rides on Deadpool 3. At DC, a lot rides on James Gunn. What he's going to do with his reboot is either going to make or break.
The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are inarguably the best that the DCEU had to offer. And it makes me optimistic that James Gunn might be able to pull something out of his hat for DC moving forwards. There's a couple casting choices that I don't know if I particularly liked, a couple I do like, but I'm heading into the future of DC more optimistic than I have ever before.
Yeah.
I mean, the Aquaman 2 was fun. It wasn't great, but it was fun. And that's the old DCEU.
Yeah.
If
I haven't seen that one yet.
If they let James Gunn do James Gunn things, it should be okay.
Yeah. Well, since he's in charge, he's the one that. If James Gunn lets James Gunn do James Gunn things.
Well, I mean, he still has bosses above him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have complete creative control. That was the one thing really good about the Suicide Squad is he did, and he made the movie he wanted to make. which if they let him do that and let other creators do that with other properties, I could see a fun PG-rated Superman movie be released 2 weeks before a gritty, bloody, R-rated Batman, right next to a PG-13 comedy-esque Green Arrow movie. And I would be fine with that because they're doing with the character what should be done. I don't want, like, Man of Steel, it was fine, but I don't want a gritty Superman. Superman is the Boy Scout.
Yeah, Man of Steel was about the line. That's about as far dark as you can go with Superman.
Now,
Any darker.
If you want to take an Elseworlds and do like Red Sun,
Red Sun or Bizarro.
Yeah, and go dark like that, sure, go for it. But
Yeah, that's
the
different.
Blue Boy Scout, nah, don't do it.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
The pirate captain appears to be shouting from shore that they aren't making money, and I'm not sure if he's referring to Marvel movies, DC movies, or superhero movies in general, but I thought I would let you guys know.
Oh yeah, he's so busy he couldn't be here, but he can be in the chat. Yeah. Now, DC movies, since James Gunn announced that they were rebooting, none of them had made any money. That I think was a marketing mistake. Because they had to, and even the ones before that weren't making great, but they were still in the the $400 million range, which for big budget superhero movies is not a lot compared to the $1 billion Marvel movies, from 3 or 4 years ago. But after they announced that they were rebooting the DC universe, the Flash, well, that had a lot of drama with it too, but that didn't even hit. I don't think that cracked 200 million. And now Aquaman's has not been the top of the box office. Wonka has been beating it out pretty regularly since it came out. I don't know what its total is going to be yet, but Blue Beetle didn't make a lot of money either. So, as much as I hate to say it, the pirate captain may be right.
Yeah, there's not a lot for Marvel's release schedule in 2024. The only thing I'm seeing is they have an X-Men 97 show coming out sometime early 24, Deadpool in July, assuming that doesn't get pushed back, and then Agatha, which
I don't think that's going to actually ever come.
You don't think that'll ever be released?
That's my personal. Bob Iger, one of the things he had mentioned is that they were diluting the Marvel brand with all these Disney Plus shows, and so he kind of put the brakes on, and that's why, like the Daredevil, they were halfway through shooting the whole Daredevil show, and they said this sucks, scrapped it, and started over with new scripts and pretty much from scratch. So they're trying to redirect back away from what they've been doing the last couple of years.
The WandaVision show was good, and I liked the character Agatha in it, but I don't think I liked her enough to warrant her own show.
Yeah, the WandaVision, if you watch the big reviewers on YouTube for the genre reviewers, they love WandaVision. I think it may be the artistic, sitcom style thing that they did with it. Because it is very unique, very different. I was not a fan of WandaVision.
WandaVision falls into a unique state time-wise because it was the first release, post COVID, everything shutting down. It was like the first big Marvel property released.
Well, and it was also the first one where they're using the actual movie actors and actresses in a TV show playing the same characters.
That's true.
So it got a lot of extra bump from. from being that as well.
What they thought was going to pioneer greatness.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, there's the Agatha show and another animated Spider-Man, and that's it until the new Captain America movie. So there's really not a lot slated.
The new Captain America is not till 2025.
Yeah.
So the only movie this year is Deadpool.
Yeah, they have pulled so much back, and I think that's a wise decision.
Mm-hmm.
Pull it back, give it as much time as you possibly can to let the writers do the writing and not force cuts and all this that doesn't need to happen. When you give them enough time, nobody expected Iron Man to be as good as it was, and that's because they had time to fucking do it.
Yeah.
If you let them do it, maybe it'll be good.
And they've been focusing a little too much on the Marvel formula.
Mm-hmm.
They're forgetting that part of the Marvel formula was it was designed that everything would be a little bit different. You would get an Ant-Man, which was a heist movie. You'd get a Iron Man, which is the standard action movie. You'd get a Captain America historical piece. You'd get a like where they would hit other genre. The Captain America's not Civil War, the other one, Captain America 2. I'm
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, thank you. Where you're getting the spy thriller, genre. They're forgetting that part of it. Part of the formula was that everyone was different, so it didn't get the sameness feel. I saw somebody point this out, but I had noticed it. The end of a little spoiler post-credit scene. It's not really a post-credit scene, but the end scene of Echo has a lot in common with the end scene of She-Hulk.
Really? Okay. Now
that's the best way I could put it without being spoilery.
I'm a little intrigued now. But...
No, it's not intriguing at all. No. Not the interesting parts of that.
I don't remember how I remember She-Hulk does the wall break, but I don't remember much more than that.
No. Way after that. Way after that.
Okay.
Family picnic. That's what I'm.
Oh, okay.
I'll spoil. There's a family picnic as the last scene.
Okay. Cool. Wait. Wow. Excitement shoots way down.
Exactly. That's my point. That's not the formula. That's not what they mean when they say the Marvel form. But somehow over the course of the 15, 20, however long years it's been that Marvel's been existing, somebody watered down the formula too much, and now it's just
diluted.
Instead of getting Kool-Aid, you're just getting water.
There's nothing to grip you right now, and that's why I have high hope for Deadpool 3. I'm hoping that will pull me back in. The end credit scene at the end of the Marvels gave me it's a dwindling flame of hope, but there is still some hope there.
My problem is, even if Deadpool is incredible and the greatest movie we ever saw, I that's not going to redirect the Marvel, because it's pulling on Deadpool 1 and 2. It is still Deadpool 3. So even if it is his entrance into the MCU, I don't think it will say, quote unquote, save the MCU. I think whatever comes after, if it's this new Captain America, New World Order, or did they change the tagline again? I think they might have.
So
I think they did. I want to say they changed it again. That it's not New World Order anymore. It's because
Brave New World is what.
Brave New, something like that.
So while we've been talking, I went ahead and I looked at 2023's box office versus budget for superhero movies. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 made $845.5 million worldwide, and the budget was $250 million.
James Gunn does it right.
Yep.
No fatigue there. No superhero fatigue there. That one went well.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse made $682.6 million worldwide. Cost $100 million to make.
That's cheaper than I was expecting.
It's an animated movie. It shouldn't
True.
be too hard. I should say too costly. Animation is hard. I don't mean it that way.
The
but
most
it shouldn't be
surprising,
costly.
The most surprising out of this list to me, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, $463.6 million. Cost $200 million to make.
Because that is where the goodwill started to leave Marvel. I think a lot of that, they still had the goodwill where a lot of people were coming in to see it. And they were just, that first weekend, real big box office.
Dropped the
and
ball.
The repeat, and then they just didn't get the repeat viewing that was, because you got, what was before that, Black Panther 2?
I believe
that's the one before that?
2022, yeah.
Yeah, so they were still on the goodwill tour. They hadn't quite burned the Marvel bridge like they've done recently.
Yeah. Well, just to play all's fair, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, $339.3 million so far.
Mm-hmm.
Cost between $205 to $215 million to make.
I wonder what was
What's
so
their
expensive
domestic?
in that movie.
All the CG.
Jason Momoa.
92.
He's pretty big right now, but between Dune and this and Game of Thrones and Stargate Atlantis and
Game of Thrones was over 10 years ago. I mean, that was...
And generally just being a likable guy.
Yeah,
that's true.
The Flash, $266.5 million. Cost around $220 million to make.
They lost money on the Flash?
No, they barely made anything.
Oh, well, sorry.
Every international, they get about 30% of that what they made internationally, and they get about 50% of what they make domestically. So if they're just matching their total, the budget total, they're losing money. And that budget total doesn't include advertising, which normally for these big budget movies is about $100.
These budget movies, these budgets I'm looking up is including advertising, advertising, marketing, all that stuff. And then, yes, the Marvels made $199.8 million so far worldwide. But it cost $270 million to make.
But even
absolutely a loss.
Even that's during the actor strike, which means Ivan Milani, Brie Larson, and who's the Photon actress? But they couldn't go out and market. They couldn't go on the talk shows and drum up business. And Disney Marvel didn't do a very good job of advertising that movie either. Especially where they were trying to tie it to Endgame in the advertising campaign instead of, they probably should have gone more after the Barbie audience.
Yeah. Gone after the audience that enjoyed Ms. Marvel. Yeah.
They were just going, and that's another argument. Why are you making movies that aren't for your target audience? But if you've made a movie for a target audience that is the young girl audience or whatever is your target audience, maybe your advertising campaign should show that, so that the young girls get excited and want to go see your movie instead of misadvertising it to a bunch of dudes who are going to be pissed off when they see it because it's not what they thought they were going to see.
Yep. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, $132.2 million, cost $100 million to make.
That was cheap, actually. I'm surprised.
And then Blue Beetle, $128.8, cost $104.
Yeah. Now, Blue Beetle was originally supposed to be a direct to HBO Max. That's now just Max. movie. It was not supposed to go to the theaters. And once it was done and put together, they liked it so much they wanted to give it a shot in the theaters. But that decision was also made before the James Gunn reboot decision. I think if it had come out before the announcement of the James Gunn reboot, that movie would have done better. So it wasn't a bad movie.
Well,
it wasn't great, but it wasn't a bad movie.
And the thing to keep in mind is this is box office. It doesn't count the new streaming subscriptions, the watches, the views, all that kind of stuff. So they are probably still making money even on the Marvels once it comes to streaming, and all the people like me who didn't bother to go and see it will watch it. They may make more money. Maybe not enough to recoup costs, because that was a lot of money for a movie that not even the stars really had any faith in.
Yeah.
But
and the Flash, and a lot of these movies had a lot of, like the Flash and Miss Marvel, or the Marvels, they had a lot of post-production issues where they went back. The movie was supposed to come out 2 years ago, and they went back and edited and made changes, and then they did some more changes and more changes. The longer they held it, the more changes they made. And who knows? The original version that was supposed to come out might have done better. Who knows? We'll never know because we'll never see it.
Yeah, and
Going back to our Zack Snyder comment, though, look at the difference between Justice League and Justice League.
I hope that doesn't become like a thing though, where they put out like a subpar, and then
look.
It is. Ridley Scott's doing the same thing with Napoleon that just came out. When they release it on Apple Plus, there's going to be the longer director version.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has been a thing. The Ultimate Editions.
Well, it was a thing in the DVD area. It looks like the streaming era is going to make it a thing again, because when they release these, they don't want to put an intermission, and the shorter a movie is, the more times you can show it in the theater, the more money it makes per day. So theaters don't like showing 4-hour movies. And people don't go and see 4-hour movies in theaters. So when Zack Snyder puts out his version of Rebel Moon, it's 4 hours long. The studio is going to make him edit that down before it goes to the theater.
People went,
and when it goes on streaming, when you're on streaming, you can pause. You can go to finish it the next day. You can do a 4-hour movie on streaming with no problem.
And that's my big problem is if you have a story that's wanting to be told, you should just do it in the form that's going to be the best to tell that story.
Yeah.
If you don't think you're going to be able to tell a story in a tight 90 minutes, don't let a studio tell you have to do it that way. Yeah. Go to Netflix and say, hey, I have an idea. I have like a 5-hour story I want to tell.
The studio is the one paying to tell that story, so they get final say a lot of times.
Right.
Although, like, Zack Snyder's of the world are big enough, they can probably dictate.
Yeah, once you get big enough.
Yeah, you got to get
nobody's
big
gonna
enough
tell. Nobody's going to tell Steven Spielberg he can't make the movie he wants to make. But like some Joe Blow nobody, they're going to be absolutely run out. Hold on just a second. I know the guys behind also Scream 5 and 6.
But it's also been shown statistically that, like, if you show it in theaters first and then it goes to streaming, it not only do you make money in the theater process, the streaming becomes more event television where more people will actually stream it because they've heard about it. Oh, I thought I wanted to see that in the theater. I'll watch this now. It gives it a little more buzz, you still got to make a good movie.
Yeah.
But if you've gone to theater first, you have more odds of success. So when you're on that borderline for length, that's where it gets tricky. Like 4 hours, 5 hours, you definitely need to stream. 4 hours, you're right on that borderline where it's like, can you cut a half hour?
4 hours is a long time to sit through
Yeah.
a movie in one
That's
shot.
Zack Snyder's Justice League was 4 hours.
Yeah. Well, I remember there's a controversy in the Killers of the Flower Moon movie where theaters were putting in their own intermission, and the director of that movie, I'm blanking on his name at the moment. Like, I don't know if he's suing them. Yeah, Scorsese. Sorry, it was Scorsese. Is in some kind of legal battle with them for artificially putting in an intermission, and I don't know. Personally, I have to pee like one time during a movie. I can usually push it out for 90 minutes, but 3.5 hours I'm drinking soda. I'm gonna have to get up at some point.
If you're not drinking other stuff.
True.
Yeah.
We like to go to Studio Movie Grill where, alcohol is there and flowing. Non-spawn, yeah. But Scream 7, Scream 5 and 6 was taken over by Radio Silence. They were given the go-ahead because they had such huge reverence for Wes Craven and for the Scream franchise. Now they're backing down to EP roles and letting another person direct. Well, at the same time, we've lost two of the main new cast. Michelle Barrera and Jenna Ortega have both backed out. That's because there was studio meddling. That's why the other guys back to EP. Just let them make the next Scream movie like they did the previous two, and it's going to make you money. Those were good movies. Just let them do it.
As long, you still got to enforce the costs with those, because Scream is, each movie makes a little bit less than the one before it.
Because they're just.
But they made so much to start with that they're still making good. It's still a good investment to make a Scream movie, but you got to make it for less than like $50 million. You ain't getting Jenna Ortega in a movie for less than $50 million right now. She's too hot. She's going to be in the new Beetlejuice.
As I guess Winona Ryder's daughter.
Yeah.
It's the thing is that she was already starting to make herself a powerhouse in the horror genre before she starred in Scream.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scream just helped catapult her. Plus Wednesday, Babysitter, Killer Queen. So having her dip out on your project it's not a good look. I mean, yes, problematic statements from one star. Maybe it's okay to let her go, but if your other one backs out, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you're also at what? Scream 7, 8?
Scream 7, yeah.
7, yeah.
By
7, you can come in with the new class or the new.
I mean, they are the new class.
Yeah.
I mean, Neve Campbell dipped out of 7 because they weren't paying her enough.
Yeah.
Now there's
that's what it is. When you get down to 7, you got to go with pretty much no names and.
David Arquette has, I think, dropped from EP. Courtney Cox has dropped off as an EP, I believe. If the originals are leaving, something's going wrong.
Yeah, well, they've also made millions of dollars over many years. They're not as hungry for this as they were when they made Scream 1.
One of the through lines is that they love this property. They love what they've built. Yeah. They want to see it done right, and if they're leaving, something's wrong.
I'm curious how long, Scream and Hollywood in general, how long they can ride out this nostalgia train.
Well, the whole thing with Scream is it's meta. So they're commentating on things that are going on in the horror genre.
When you get to number 7?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why Scream 5 was just called Scream. Yeah. It was a meta commentary on the requel phenomenon. Now it's the requel sequel. This one, assumedly, would be franchise fatigue. How do they change it up? That's what made 6 so brilliant. Is it brought back these legacy characters, but also kept upping the ante to make things even crazier. And then 7 was, I was hoping going the same direction, but it a slightly different way. But now I don't have any faith because the creators that made 5 and 6 such great hits are stepping back.
You're going to be very disappointed in me. You know when the last Scream I watched was?
Scream 2?
4.
When did that come out? 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
First 3 were brilliant. And with the idea that you're not in just another sequel, same sequel rules apply. No, you're in a trilogy. But then when 4 comes out, it's no longer a trilogy.
No, 4 is the nostalgia sequel. That's what they were doing there, and then 5 was the requel, and then the requel sequel. Now it's the like I said, it follows a very specific formula.
Yeah.
But the problem is when the original creators are now backing off, you start to lose faith, and that's where it's not franchise fatigue. It's just, well, what are we doing now?
No, like I said, I gave up. There's a lot of these that are getting into the high numbers sequels that I think some of them it's time just to let them go. And maybe 10 years later you do a reboot and start over from number 1. But some of them just got to let them rest for a little while.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at stuff like The Evil Dead, where like it rebooted, and now it's got its sequel, and another sequel should be on the horizon. While Bruce Campbell is done, but he fully supports what they're doing, so he's an EP. So the horror genre is funky. I love it, but it's so funky.
It's about that time, boys. Do you have any final thoughts?
The horror genre is funky. I love it, but it's funky.
Anything to say, Loke?
I will watch the long version of Rebel Moon in February, even though I watched the regular one already.
Oh yeah, I think I'll also probably watch just any version of Rebel Moon at some point.
I'm sure we'll have a discussion on that when the time comes.
Maybe when we drag the pirate captain back from his stranding.
Pirate Captain's boycotted Marvel, so.
Well, we won't hear about Echo, but we can hear about Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
But for now, that's going to do it for us, everybody.
I thought for a second you were going to say butt fuck, and I was like, what are you doing?
And
say goodbye, Bolg.
Goodbye, Bolg.
Say goodbye, Loke.
See ya.
I'm Mr. Producer. I hope you guys enjoy this very special Mutiny episode. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe. And I'm sure the Pirate Captain will be back for the next time. But for now, say goodbye, guys.